Hello and welcome to another episode of our Creative Sligo series here on The Sligo Show with myself, Brendan Tierney. Today I am delighted to be joined by the one and only Sligo legend, Michael Quirke. Michael, do you like that introduction?
That's terrific. I'd have a job living up to that now.
Well, now I'm sure no better man.
I'll do my best.
So we're here in your iconic shop, a favourite of locals and tourists alike. You know, can you give us a bit of a background to growing up here, or what was this business?
Well, it used to be a butcher shop. My dad built this place in 1928, and after I left school in 57, I started here as a butcher. Because, of course, in those days, you did what you were told.
Okay.
There's no such thing as, would you sooner be a computer engineer? So I was a butcher, and I was working away, happy enough, for about 10 or 11 years, and then I started to carve. Now, I didn't start cold turkey because I had already been working with morla, as any Irish person will know what morla is. It's clay, plasticine, modelling clay that the holy nuns let you play with in low babies. And then everybody stops and gets a bit of sense. Not me. I still was working with plasticine. By the time I was 9 or 10, I could do John Wayne and his horse, lions and tigers. I never needed toys.
Right, okay, so you would shape it and then would you carve into it a bit and everything?
No, and then in 1968, I actually started carving. And lo and behold, not here, I started working in an old shed at home. Lo and behold, I brought them in here to the shop.
Oh, to the butcher shop?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, my father was the quietest man in Sligo. And he, in effect, he had me spoiled. Like, as long as I did my work, and it was hard work, but I could do what I liked. So I brought in the carvings, and he didn't stop me. Any other butcher in town would have stopped me. So they started to sell. Slowly at first, because I didn't work as fast now. And then eventually they started to sell even to locals. Now locals, you see, people are very strange. The people who were buying meat never saw the carvings. People who came in and bought the carvings never noticed the meat.
Okay, right, okay.
It was the strangest thing. You wouldn't believe it. It's just, you only see what you expect to see.
True.
And of course, that's the whole point of an artist or a poet. They make people see what they haven't seen before. Because filla in Irish is just doesn't mean moon in June, comes up soon like a balloon with a spoon. It means a perceiver. They see things in reality that ordinary people just were passing by. And it's the same with the carvings. People didn't, now, I gave up the meat eventually when my dad died in 88. And I just dropped the meat and went full-time at the carving. And anybody can see looking around here, it's just a butcher shop.
Yeah. There's still a lot of the original tiles and structure.
Butcher shop with no meat.
You could always go back into it if you needed, maybe.
Well, then the locals started to notice, and up to that it was for 20 years, 68 to 88, it was mostly tourists in the tourist season and a few in the off season. As soon as I gave up the meat in May 1988, the locals started to notice, and they took over. They took up the slack, and all of a sudden, instead of 90% tourists, it was now about 50% locals and 50% tourists. And it's been great ever since that. Now it's been going on and on, so that now, even in the summer, it's 90% locals. All these things that you see around now are done for locals.
They're custom requirement. They're requested, like
custom built.
Okay.
At first I was worried about it, or not so much worried about it, but kind of restricted. But now I realise I can do it. Can I do it? This girl now asked me to work on a special one for her, and it worked out very, very well, And 9 times out of 10 it works out well. Sometimes it's a bit of a bust, but
we don't tell them that.
They work. And anyway, I've never done one that didn't attract somebody's attention, So
when you started wood carving, was there anyone to guide you, help you? Did you completely just get this yourself?
Completely myself, and it's just as well. And what I've learned over the years is I can't teach.
Okay.
Because I didn't learn off anybody. I've several, well, I call them young men, they're young compared to me, that have taken it up in the meantime. And I refer to them as my disciples because they do their own thing. And I really think, more by chance than good guidance, that's the right way to do it. I could teach anybody to carve that.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I'm not going to carve that again myself anyway.
Yeah. Everything is unique.
And I have a nephew that's, he does his own thing. Whether he'll ever get to be a millionaire doing it, I'm not sure, but he does his own thing, and a couple of people around the town too. So it has worked out very well, for
a number of years now. You're going strong.
Yeah.
And do you just come in someday and, like, just say something comes into your head and you just start carving yourself, obviously?
Well, oftentimes, very seldom. I usually have something at the back of my head planned out. But even on a day when I haven't, I'll come in and pick up a bit of wood and wander around and talk to somebody. 9 times out of 10, you'll start to get something, because the wood does. It's not just a blank sheet, like a bit of paper. There's usually something in the wood, that'll feed.
Like, you mean
it'll feed back,
a little feature, or do you mean the energy of it?
It'll start to feed back. The woods are different. That's a piece of beech now.
Okay.
It's very workable, sharp. The ash is much more grainy. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's got a lot more character to it in a sense, so that you have to go with it, So it'll feed you back with more ideas than, say, beech or sycamore. But there you go.
And you love a bit of stories and histories and building them in.
You see, this is the centre of the universe, Not just because I'm living here, but you see, every place is the thing is, every place is the centre of the universe. I mean, with a circle, you have a centre, but on a sphere, everywhere is the centre, and every single place, certainly in Ireland, has its own flavour and accent. And our myths and legends, they're well known outside of Sligo, but still they have a local flavour. And Sligo, Irish legends have an Irish flavour, and still they're recognisable. As, for instance, now we have a great hero in the lake, Freoch, that gives his name to Innisfree, and his girlfriend Finiver, Maeve's daughter, rescues him when he gets into big trouble with his own sword, and he renames the sword Callad Bullock, bright striker in the dark. And when you look, you realise Caliburn, Excalibur. She's Finiver, and the Welsh fellas talk funny. She's Guinevere. So the whole thing.
Right.
The big difference is our stuff is always hilarious.
Yeah.
You won't get a laugh out of Beowulf or the Iliad, but they're the same story, in a sense. Beowulf, now for instance, he kills Grendel, and he thinks this makes him a hero. It makes him a big ticko, stronger than Grendel. He has to kill him hand to hand because Grendel is immune to weapons. So he tears him apart, in effect. But that doesn't make him a hero. It makes him a big ticko.
Okay. You might win the fight, but you're not really
getting... That doesn't make you a hero, no. He has to face Grendel's mother. And he has to dive into the dark pool again, pull Dovlin down and come up in her cave and face this awful unknown thing. That makes him a hero. Nearly killed him too, of course, but it makes him a hero. But it's not funny, there's no humour in it. The way it's told, it is very funny, because some American fella actually took the story of Grendel and turned it into a hilarious story. But that's another. It's and I have people coming in all the time giving me ideas. For instance, this is for a lady. She's a young woman, but she wanted an older woman, a more mature woman, as her muse.
Okay.
And she's a writer, so I put the hand with the quill.
Yes.
And then she's a woman, and this is the symbol of the woman, breasts and womb. And then the other thing, the dower coo and.
Well, the dower coo. You told me about the dower coo before. Actually.
The dower coo is a very local shadow. In other places it would be a dragon or something, but here it's a paradoxical animal that actually guards the salmon.
Oh.
It's the Dowercoo is
Kind of like an otter, kind
it's
of?
a master otter.
Okay.
Dark wet hound. Madeshka is an ordinary otter. This is a master otter, a giant otter that guards the salmon of wisdom.
Of course. Okay.
But it also
And that's what originates in Sligo, you were saying that?
Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
all over North Connaught in a way, but Sligo especially. But it also hunts the salmon. It's a true predator. It hunts the salmon. You hunt the salmon, you're a rival. You see?
Okay,
It's
okay. So he was minding the salmon for himself more so.
It's fascinating because the deeper you go into any of these things, it turns out that the Dowercoo will attest the hero or the heroine. But the Dowercoo that tests the heroine is male, the male shadow, and the Dowercoo that tests the man is female. So it's your opposite dark side.
Okay, yeah,
And
yeah.
most cultures don't understand that. They have Dowercoos, dragons, black hounds, and so on, but they don't seem to get it.
Okay.
We
Get the story
seem
behind
to
it.
be the only people that got it.
Of course
you
we do.
know?
Only in Ireland, huh?
You got it. You have to face the beast, your beast within. And the next point with the Irish story, and especially, you can't face it alone. You must seek help. And of course, this is perfectly psychological. I mean, if alcoholics have to help each other,
Okay.
you can't face it alone.
On your own, yeah.
You know, and it's the same with the and if you do face it alone, even superheroes mess it up.
Right, okay.
Satanta faced the hound. See, look, here he comes. He's going to the feast. His uncle lets loose the giant
Hounds,
hound, and Satanta kills it. Big mistake. He should have said, "It's only me, Fido. Calm down." No, he takes out his Colt 45 and he lets him have it. You see, he failed the test. It was a test of courage, not skill or strength. So there you go. But look, you wouldn't want to pay any heed to me because I can see 14 ways of looking at anything.
Well, I think
you
we
know?
all should pay more heed to you and listen to these amazing stories and the way you look at things and see what it is. You seem like someone, anytime I've ever called in, you love what you do in here?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it doesn't seem like it's work or stress?
No. Loving what I'm doing is the wrong way. I can't not do it.
Okay.
You know, I'd feel
Kinda
uneasy
empty?
if I wasn't doing this. You know,
Okay.
I thought when I started off this 50 odd years ago, I thought if I can't do this when I get older, strangely enough, I was thinking of the future. I can go back to the plasticine.
Okay.
But
right.
you can't. Your hands need to be incredibly powerful to work the plasticine,
Right.
and nimble. I could have been a brain surgeon when I was a young fella.
But not now.
No.
You might diversify yet, you never know.
This is much, now it's physically demanding, but I tried to do plasticine recently and I just don't have the nimbleness and the strength in my fingers anymore. So the wood carving is actually not as physically demanding as it looks.
You would imagine it would be.
Slow down. You can slow down. And of course I use mallet and gouge all the time, not just the strength of my hands, you know. So
That's amazing.
and then you have people giving you ideas, and sometimes they wouldn't even know it was an idea. This young man wants this for his partner.
Yeah.
She's very fond of foxes and hares, so I came up with the fox and
And
the
I've seen you
hare.
do this. I mean, anyone calling in, like, what's your favourite animal is the catchphrase. Like, you could get a tattoo of that in your arm.
And there it goes.
Anyone, even if you don't know what you want, just to come in and you'll make a lovely little piece for a child or anything.
But it's great. But it's great fun, and it feeds the imagination too. You know.
Yeah.
And apart from that, it actually is great fun. Because I had a group of young people in now, late teenagers and young adults, and I was boasting away to them. I'm terribly humble, but I was boasting away to them that I can do anything, you see. And the Australian girl said, "Well, then I'll have a hairy-nosed wombat." So I got her a hairy-nosed wombat, and the American lad that was with her was so impressed. He said, "Well, I'll have a capybara." So the capybara came out even better. And I was getting really...
They weren't going to catch you out.
No, I was getting really big-headed about this now. So the young Sligo fella that brought them around, he was only about 10 or 11.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, he said, well, I love a gorilla. So I said, I love gorillas. They're one of my favourite animals. They really are. I love gorillas. But they never come out right because they always look like my Uncle Joe, you know.
Oh, God.
Everybody...
Uncle Joe mightn't like that, but
well, Joe's long gone.
I was going to say, you're okay, you're safe enough.
But, everybody giggles at that, but he was completely straight-faced. Well, then carve your Uncle Joe and it'll look like a Joe. So that didn't work.
There's always a way out.
That was great crack though.
But it's lovely to hear, as you say there, and we're doing this series, we're talking to young, old, to everyone that's doing the creative space. Creative people need to be in a creative space.
Oh yeah.
Or you're not fulfilled,
No.
happy.
And the whole point about it is, I don't want to sound spiritual or anything, but that's the nearest you can get to God. I'm a pagan, of course, but actually I'm not a pagan. My mother used to watch over me here in the shop when I was still a butcher, and people would come in talk about the carvings. And when she'd want me to get back to cutting T-bone steaks, she'd usually interrupt, you see. And at one stage she really lost her cool and she stuck her head out and she said, listen, pay no heed to Michael. He's not even a lapsed Catholic. I never made it to being a decent pagan. But I think that to create, there's nothing more human than to create, you know. Yeah. And if people that neglect that, there's a hole in their life.
I would say, they're not fulfilling. Yeah.
Singers,
actors,
whatever, you know, knitting socks, whatever it is. But you leave a hole in your life if you're not doing it. If you give everything over to making money or whatever. I've no objection to making money. There's no harm in it.
Gladly accepting all donations.
but you know, whatever it is you do, I don't want to sound preachy, but you should do it.
You're dead right. I think it's very important.
Give it a go. Give it a shot, you know.
Yeah. Well, you epitomise that, Michael, and I've passed by here many times, I've called in many times, and I don't know how you get anything done, because you're the best storyteller and chatterbox I've ever met.
Sure, look, the wife keeps, I go home to the wife, I'm worn out, I got bugger all done today. It's your own fault.
Keep talking.
Talking to people.
You're not expanding or anything like that? No, you're happy with your lot here, you know?
This is what feeds the juices, you know. I mean, what are you going to do? Put a big face on and become a temperamental artist, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, these ideas feed into you. This man wants his son as a musician, he's musical, and he wanted something, you know. So I had to think, and this is from Yeats's The Curse of Cromwell.
Okay.
And it goes, and when I think about it, I must be out and walk among the dogs and horses that understand my talk. You get a whole carving out of it, you know.
That's it. Well, it's beautiful to put the words into a piece of timber. You know what I mean. So,
and I've been, look, it's all very well saying, look, I don't smoke or drink and don't run after women. That's why I'm 95. Old fellas.
That's the secret sauce.
It's an awful lot of it is pure luck. Somebody asked some old philosopher fella, what do you attribute your old age to? You know, your healthy old age. Pick your parents well.
It's as good as any, although it's hard to choose them.
And you know what? Clint Eastwood said that. He thanked his mother for his good genes, you know. And both my parents now, they were, like, they weren't well educated. They'd be the first to tell you that. But they loved poetry and literature. And they could come out and quote a line of poetry appropriately, you know.
In the right moment.
Didn't just come out off the top of the head. My dad, when he'd feel a bit low, he'd say, now is the winter of our discontent.
You knew. That says a lot. I might want to go out for a while, leave him be.
You might just leave him be. But my mother loved Lady Macbeth. If 'twere done when 'tis done, 'twere well 'twere done quickly. Time Michael got moving his ass.
Yeah. God, that must have been an interesting way of getting your messages in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Michael, thanks as always for the chat. I mean, I'm glad we're starting to capture your story. As I said, we could do a 7-hour episode series on you. We'll come back in the future, maybe do more of that. But for now, it's lovely to see someone who loves what they're doing, and you know they're not 19 or 20 star now. You've been doing it, you love it, you bring so much joy to people that visit the town, people that live in the town. So on top of that, it's lovely to see how much you absolutely love it, and to hear that the belief you have. And this series is all about that. Creative people, let them be creative, and they will be much happier and more fulfilled beings.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Well, Michael,
great to see you.
Great to see you too. We'll be in again soon. No doubt there'll be another Carver on Eat somewhere.
You're always welcome.
No problem at all.
If you can find room to get in.
Oh, we'll always find room, and you'll always make room, I'm sure. No problem.
Sounds great.
Thank you. So,
see you.
Thanks again. That was Michael Quirke here on Wine Street. And if you're a local and you've never been, or you're a tourist coming to Sligo, it is a must stop to come in for the chat. You'll definitely won't walk away empty-handed, and maybe you'll eventually go, I want something very special for someone at home. Big thanks to Brian behind the scenes here, looking after all the tech and the cameras. Thanks to the Creative Ireland Sligo Fund for helping us put on this series and put it all together. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you all again next time. Thank you.
The Sligo Show is produced by Pixel Productions and hosted by Brendan Tierney. If you need video for your business or live event or would like to appear on the show, send us a message today.
So if you liked what you just seen, don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel here. We've loads of great interviews from a load of really interesting people over the series. And if you're on social media, which I'm sure loads of you are, we are on Instagram and Facebook, so give us a follow there.